If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. Meek Mill is not as rich as you might think, and he also just dropped a new mixtape. How that is connected and what that means is what we're going to break down today, so let's jump straight into this. So Meek Mill just dropped his new mixtape, Flamerz 5. We've been waiting for this for a very long time, classic series, but there's a couple of implications with that come with this new mixtape that we gotta look at. For example, it only dropped on, mixtape platforms like DatPiff or AudioMac. It's not on streaming, and there are a couple of reasons behind this that he explained in detail, and also he revealed how much he made off of his 10-year career. So let's look at what he said on Twitter prior to the release of his new mixtape. Now, just that I mentioned it, I haven't listened to the mixtape in its entirety. I only listened to the first couple of tracks, but they're sounding that's pretty hard. He's in his bag again. But let's start with what he said on Twitter that was very interesting a couple of days before the mixtape dropped. This was about 3 to 4 days ago, so we gotta take a look at this. So he went on Twitter to say, when a label gave me a plaque, I thought they was trying to trick me, lol. Show me the financials that my art made. That other stuff, a mental trick. Give me a plaque with how much my song made and how much I got paid. I'm shying away from that whole system. It's not for us. So here he's saying that he rather be shown what his song made than be given a plaque that he can hang up on a wall that says so and so many records sold. That is only a mental trick, as he called it. Now, he went on a 3-tweet rant on this one before the album dropped. So let's kind of go through the two other ones, because in the next tweet he announced what I was just hinting at, which is, I don't want Flamerz 5 on no streaming service. This strictly underground music. Billboard can't rate it. Just rate the music. I bet you $1 million I can make the United States/world play it with one upload button. Been doing it since MySpace, lol. So here he's pretty confident that he can still be very successful with these mixtapes that he's just dropping on these it's not third party sites, but like on these non-commercial sites. That is rather the best definition, and not on streaming services. So he just uploads the songs and gets them to the fans like that. Let's see how the whole thing does. We're going to have to wait and see how it performs, but apparently he's pretty confident with it. And the last tweet in here says, I want to drop an album on JPay or Cash App, like I used to sell my stuff in the street. I'm not trying to get paid $1 every 1,000 streams, lol. Who made that up? The F. So this is kind of like what happened on November 17th, so 3 to 4 days ago. And this was very interesting because that is already the first hint we got towards his attitude towards these, towards the industry, basically, towards big major record labels. And he spoke on something that I talked about on this channel before as well, which is that they don't pay you a lot when you're doing streaming numbers. He said about, what did he say, $1 every 1,000 streams. I think it's even less than that on some streaming platforms. I think Spotify is even worse than that, but it might also not be. I dropped a video going into the statistics of it a couple of months, or even a year ago, I think it was. So make sure to go check that out if you're interested in that. But other than that, it's something that I like that he's speaking on, because we need these bigger artists, even though Meek is not that mainstream, not that big anymore. But still, we need those big artists to apply pressure to the labels and to the streaming services to pay artists more fairly. And there are great arguments against it. I know that these streaming companies only have a certain pool of money that they can kind of take from. And I know that, for example, with Spotify, they have more users, and that's why their music is streamed more often, but they can also only pay the artist a fraction of what maybe a user is worth on Tidal. And I get that there is it's more complicated than just paying them more. I get that, and we discussed that in the comments under that last video also in detail. But let's actually look at what he said only yesterday, because he went on another rant, a little bit longer one than the one I just showed y'all right before the album dropped. So although the mixtape, but nowadays it's all the same as a mixtape, album, playlist. It's not really a differentiation anymore. So let's look at what he said, because this is where it gets juicy, because he reveals how much he's made from music over his career so far. Yesterday, he hopped on Twitter to say, #AskMeek, where fans could ask him a question. He said, I made $11 million in 10 years from music, quote unquote, just music payments. I was shocked, mad, and didn't want to really rap for any label. Now I got a real point to prove to show you can survive without getting rapped. Now, I don't know what he meant with without getting rapped. I'm not sure if he meant without getting only 1p, but, you know, we just got to take that in. He made $11 million in 10 years, which it might sound a lot to like a normal earning person, but for Meek Mill, he was a superstar. Only making $11 million in 10 years is really not that much. And he goes on to explain a little bit of details more further down the line in this rant, but it's something that I was like, I kind of sat back and I was like, okay, so that means only an M a year, but he went on tours, he had, you know, chart-breaking hits, like, that pays you more than $1 million a year. So that's kind of, you got to consider also that the last couple of years it's been slowing down. But I mean, you know, Meek in the early 2010s, mid 2010s, definitely I thought would be making more than that. He goes on to say now, because he kind of like now goes into what he's doing now, which is kind of moving a little bit more independently, because he was also one of the first rappers that got into the whole releasing an album as an NFT wave. So we can see that he's trying to find new ways that he can market his music and get his music to the fans. And so he went on Twitter to then say, on a bad month, I make M. A lot of people let me down when I get educated about my own business. And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like I'm not a learner. They mentally keep you faded from knowing. So we can see that he went from making M a year over the course of his entire successful career to now making an M on a bad month. So that's a huge difference. But I guess it's the difference between having fans that directly support your music and buy your merch and, you know, buy your tickets versus having a label in between. It's something that we talked about a lot on this channel as well. So that was very interesting. At least I thought that was very interesting. He then went on to say, he went on a whole Twitter rant, as I said, but he went on to say, don't give me a plaque. Give me the financial paper of how much the song I recorded for $20K made $20 million. Not an award. I'm from the trenches. I don't want that stuff. I want an estate. I want my whole family tree to beat the ghetto. Also, you know, speaking on how he maybe gets paid a little bit of money to record a song, but then that song goes on to do so much better and to make a lot more money than he originally recorded it for. And here's where it gets really interesting again, because now he talks about Going Bad, his 2018 song with Drake. And this is interesting because he says, one day I asked how much Going Bad made just that song. So just the one song. They said 24 million. I was like, how much did I make? All I got was LOL. I'm at like, what the fuck? I know all the financials from my other business. LOL. I signed out, lost all the trust for that whole system. So he didn't actually reveal how much he got paid. But that song alone, Going Bad, off of that one album, that made 24 million. That was big to me because, you know, we know that these songs are making a lot of money, but 24 million for one song. Now, of course, that is including all the royalties. That is not just streaming. That is all the mechanical and performance royalties that they obviously had for that one song. But 24 mil from one song is actually pretty crazy. And I don't know if he was referring to this song in the tweet before where he said that he got paid 20K for a song that made 20 mil. We don't know that, but even so, that's crazy. Now, he goes a little bit more into detail on this Going Bad situation. He said, I asked Drake to do that song 3 days before my album came out. I think he did it for free for me. We cooked it up. How the F do I not know how much I made off a song that made that much? They gave me a plaque. Big mental trickery. So I like how Meek is like calling, you know, these plaques and these awards that artists get just trickery for them trying to get you thinking that your song is doing great and that you're also profiting off of that. While the ones that are actually making the money off of it is the labels, is the managers, is the people in between the fans and the artist. And Meek now going the route that he did with like going directly to the fans made him a lot more money. As we said earlier, he went from making an M a year to an M a month, which is, that is pretty dope. I gotta admit, that is a pretty dope development for him. So we need these bigger artists to apply pressure to the system. As he said, he lost hope for the entire system. And I get that only certain artists can do this. Meek Mill can do this because he already has hundreds of thousands, millions of fans that are going to support him and that are going to tune in when Flamerz 5 drops on non-commercial sites, while smaller artists need those bigger platforms to get noticed in the first place. Speaking from personal experience, the Spotify algorithm can go a long way for you, and they they can pick you up and put you in playlists, and that is what maybe, even gets that rotation going. While, artists like Meek Mill don't need that anymore because they're so, accepted and like established in the culture that, people are going to pick up on it anyway. I've seen everybody report on Flamerz 5 on Instagram from all the news outlets in hip hop. So they are the ones pushing that. So that's kind of the difference, but I hope that in the next few years we can see a shift in also how maybe smaller artists can make a lot more money from independently pushing out their projects. If it is through NFTs, if it is through some form of other, release, I don't know. But I like the idea of it, and I also like that we have these opportunities now thanks to the internet evolving further. So that's what Meek Mill said. Meek Mill, only made $11 million in 10 years from a very successful music career, and now he's making an M a month. Now let that sink in. So that's all I got from this. Let me know what you think about this. Do you find this also as interesting as I do, that Going Bad made $24 million? That is insane to me. So yeah, all your thoughts, all your theories, opinions, everything you got on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.